And we are on. Hello and welcome to Sports Unhinged. My name is Mohammed Khamis. I am joined again by Coach Yujita and Mark. An amazing week coming up ahead in the NFL. Tom Brady is reunited with Bill Belichick head to head. And everybody's talking about that. Everyone's got an opinion. The undefeated LA Rams and the Cardinals go to head in an NFC West cracker. But I want to open the show with our very angry and upset Chicago Bears fan, Mark Sherman. You have been ranting on our WhatsApp groups, on our calls all week long about your Chicago Bears. And you know, as the saying goes, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. And Matt Nagy just announced that he's got 3 under consideration for the Detroit game. What's going on in Chicago? What's going on with the team?
Matt
and
Nagy.
How do the fans feel about this?
Matt Nagy has lost the fan base. He'd lost it a little while ago, but last Sunday in Cleveland was the thing. And I'm just going to go through a few bits. On Sunday on our WhatsApp group, I was mad. And this, I've had 4 or 5 days to calm down and kind of think about it and look at the stats and all this. He's had 4 years. He's in his 4th year with the Bears. He's had 5 quarterbacks: Trubisky, Daniels, Foles, Dalton, and Fields. Let's be honest, none of them improved under Matt Nagy. He came in as an offensive guru, and he's been shit. So sorry about this, but I'm kind of angry. He thinks he's the smartest man in the room. He's actually the dumbest. He's the most arrogant. He might be great at bringing a group together, but he cannot call offense. He plays goofy formations. For the last 3.5 years, we've had the same problems of pre-snap penalties, terrible timeouts, simple mistakes. He can't run a screenplay. He can't move the chain. So if that's an offensive guru, what am I? On Sunday, what's pushed us over the edge? And I believe most Bears fans are thinking along the same lines here, judging from conversations on Twitter and various other places that I speak to them. On Sunday, Justin Fields' wide receivers were only open on 29% of plays, worst in the NFL.
Wow.
His O-line allowed a 50% pressure rate, worst in the NFL.
Wow.
And his play caller got him outside of the pocket only 6% of the time. It's crap. Bears offense ranking after 3 weeks. I didn't want to do this the first 2 weeks. I believe 3 games is a reasonable period of time to get a handle on where the Bears are. 191 yards per game, ranked 32nd. 3.34 yards per play, ranked 32nd. 90.7 passing yards per game, ranked 32nd. 3.24 yards per pass, ranked 32nd. 17.86% sacks allowed per pass, 32nd. 32.43 on third down, 28th. I am not a stats man. You guys know me. I'm not a big in stats because I believe they can tell a false thing. 13.3 points per game, ranked 31st. Now, that is rubbish. Under
overwhelming
any
evidence.
Circumstances, the whole thing is rubbish. The only thing we're okay at is 4.15 yards per rush, 14th. Big deal. Mitch Trubisky took Matt Nagy's offense to the playoffs twice. Is he the greatest quarterback of all time? Really? Because this is shit.
What an admission.
Exactly. The guys who've called him out publicly, and I'm going to just choose 2, which is Olin Kreutz is a wonderful, wonderful lineman for the Bears. He was tremendous. And Dan Orlovsky, who was not the greatest quarterback for Detroit, when they were 0-16. He was playing for them when 0-16. I'm going to quote directly from him on head coach Matt Nagy. It's the worst game plan I've ever seen in my entire life, and it was either intentional or negligence. So this guy went 0-16. They were a bad team, and this game plan he had against Cleveland on Sunday was worse than anything he's ever seen. Quote direct.
And what does this do for the confidence of Fields?
2 seconds. Sorry.
Go.
Is he the problem, or is the O-line coach or the offensive coach or someone else the problem? He's changed everyone more than twice in 4 years. So the only consistency here is Matt Nagy. Every week after defeat, for the last 3 years, we're going to look at the tape on Monday morning and find out he's got this terribly frustrating thing of, we're going to look at the whys. Really look at them, but you're not learning. It's the same nonsense week after week after week. When he came in, after Trestman and Fox, after they got rid of Lovie Smith in 2012, when he went 10-6, Trestman came in, was awful. Fox came in, was bad. When Matt Nagy came in, he was a breath of fresh air. He really was. He was young. He was enthusiastic. They got social media. They got all sorts of things sorted out, really engaged the fans. And what they've done over the last 18 months is they've lost the fans. People are becoming disinterested. And as a franchise, you cannot do that. That's down to him and the GM, because they've both, they've got multiple busts between them on drafts and on free agency. They give loads of money to crap players. And so we're spending, it's not the owners. The owners are putting up the cash. I don't like the owners. They should change. But they've got so many mistakes. They cannot develop a player, and it's getting ridiculous. We got Justin Fields, who's a decent looking quarterback. Are they going to ruin him? They've had him for now 5 months under their wing. No game plan. Absolute nonsense. So that's where I stand. I believe a lot of other Bears fans are in the same place. We're kind of sick of the hype of Matt Nagy, and it's time for him definitely to give over play calling to Bill Lazor, because last year when he gave over the play calling, after we lost 6 games running, he gave the play calling away and we started winning games. A coincidence? I don't think so. He needs to do that as an absolute minimum for Sunday. He's going to get a lot of stick in Soldier Field on Sunday. And if the Bears
and it's against the 0-3 Detroit Lions, who didn't look that bad in all of their 3 defeats, right? So it's
almost
dangerous
last week.
Yeah. I think last week I actually said here that the problem with Detroit is they look good for about 30, 40 minutes.
Right.
That might be enough to beat Chicago on Sunday. And if Chicago...
By the way, 40 minutes is almost how much the Chicago Bears defense spent on the field last week. So.
Last week, 39 minutes on the field. It's not a defensive problem. It is the defense is playing lights out. If you look at them, they're doing everything. They're getting takeaways. They're getting sacks. They're actually one of the leaders in the sack race at the moment. Not a defensive problem. Purely
what do you
on
think
offense.
This does for Justin Fields' confidence when Matt Nagy comes out and announces that he's considering one of 3 quarterbacks to start for the game? I mean, what was the reaction of the Chicago fan base when they heard that? Is he trying to be smart? No. Is he trying to be cheeky? What is it?
Look, I've just told you how I feel about Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
But why tell Detroit on a Tuesday or Wednesday which quarterback you're going to have playing on the Sunday? I'm not bothered about that. Within the building... Coach, you've done this with your players. You tell them on a Tuesday, Wednesday, you're starting, you're not starting, but we're not going to tell anybody else. So I've got no issue with that. None at all. He had a press conference yesterday where he said nothing. And everyone's going, oh, it's a waste of time. We need to know this. We need to know that. We need to know Bill Lazor's calling. We don't. We as fans do not. The Detroit Lions do not need to know who's playing and what schemes we're going to be running or anything. So let's get smart here, Bears fans. Let's get smart and start thinking as an opposition to the Bears. What do we want to hear and what did we hear? We heard nothing, and that's good from a Bears point of view. So I'm not worried about that. I think that's nonsense for us.
Right.
Within the building, if he's got that conversation within the building, it's a massive issue. Massive. I don't believe he's got that conversation going on.
Does he get fired if you lose against Detroit?
I hope so.
Yeah. I see, Coach, you're nodding, right?
As historically, Bears don't fire their coaches mid-season. They just don't. But they just...
Yeah, but I don't think historically they've acted this way.
Yeah.
After 4 games with with such a good defense and a really positive incoming quarterback. So historically, sure, but history hasn't shown this.
And especially the last game, I think the little time that the offense spent on the field, it was almost like they're putting Justin Fields out there to get sacked. He got sacked 9 times, had 68 yards passing, and lost 67 yards by getting sacked. So he had a net one yard as a net, on the passing game. It's ridiculous. And I don't think the Chicago fans will take seeing him being treated like that and having his confidence broken over the whole season, just because Chicago doesn't usually fire their coaches in the middle of the season.
Well, I think the interesting thing is they've signed for some real estate up at Arlington Heights, which is 30 miles outside of Chicago, which is where the race course is, famous place.
Right.
And the intention is to build a fantastic stadium with casinos, with hotels, with shops, make it almost a mini complex or a maximum complex. It's going to be huge.
Right.
Now, if the owners, they've spent $200 million on the site, just on the site, to develop a stadium and all that, you're looking at $2-4 billion.
Right.
Even the McCaskey family doesn't have that. They only get their money from the Bears. So they're going to need outside investment. And you can bet your life they haven't signed over $200 million to buy this site without having everything else as much as possible in place. Right. Might not have all the exact details, but they'll have the funding for the $4 billion that they need to develop the site.
Okay.
So
cool.
Once they start committing to that, the last thing they need is a drop in revenues from match day, from merchandise, from all sorts of stuff. If they hear the fans absolutely going mad on Sunday, how long can they actually not act? Right. So I think Arlington Heights is a big factor here that could show them moving out of the way they have acted historically.
Okay, good. Before I wrap this topic up and move on, I just want to ask you, did you get everything off your chest?
No.
I don't think so.
You've got your hands up, Coach.
Do Chicago fans owe Mitch Trubisky an apology?
No. He's not a franchise quarterback, but he got...
How do you know?
You don't really know, do you? I think time has proven.
Well, there's two things. First of all, there were things that every fan in the world could see that he couldn't see. And when it does that make sense? When he was playing last year and the year before. Also, if he was a franchise quarterback, would he be back up for the Bills or would he be starting somewhere else? So I don't think other coaches within the NFL are as high on him as we were once upon a time.
But I think the one thing you'll never know is whether the Chicago Bears could have developed him into that franchise quarterback with the time that he was there. Having said that, let's switch gears over to two teams that were expected to be contending for the Super Bowl, and they might still. It's very early in the season, and we've got an exceptionally long season with 17 games. We've got the Bucs and KC both coming off losses. Tampa Bay falling to the LA Rams in an incredible game. And KC were outdone by a very, very good Chargers team. So, Coach, I think my question to you is, should we be worried more about KC or Tampa Bay? Or is it both? Should both be worried about their prospects for the playoffs or Super Bowl contention this year?
Probably neither. If we take a big look at it, I think if you're going to compare the two, you really should probably be worried about Kansas City, but not so much. I do think that Tampa has run into probably the hottest team in the NFC and probably will be for the first 5, 6, 7 weeks. They've had virtually no injuries. They've had virtually a pretty, I don't want to say a soft schedule, but a conducive schedule to winning. When they did get Tampa had a few of their stars either out or hurt, and then traveling all the way across the country. So I'm not making an excuse for Tampa, but I'm not too worried about them. I think we'll get a pretty good judge this week, ironically, when they go to New England. I know that sounds crazy with New England's record, but I think BB has the opportunity to really show his wares as a defensive coach. In terms of KC, look, I think they would be the one to worry about if you're comparing, just because I think their defense is struggling where they didn't last year. I think they played above their weight last year for at least 10 to 12 of the 16 games before they got to the playoffs. And I think Mahomes probably bailed them out of 3 or 4 wins. I didn't write it down, but I did some research. I think 3 to 4 wins last year where they didn't play well. And they haven't performed. You know, we all know it, either as a fan, as a coach, or watching football for as long as we have, when you replace that many offensive linemen, it takes a while. Yeah, it takes a while to get calls right and nods right and you know, unspoken calls right, and that's going to take more than 3 weeks. So I'm not too worried about either one. I think someone put earlier in one of the WhatsApp groups we're in, Kansas City might be 6-5 after week 12, and I'll take that bet. You know, I still can't see them losing 5 games the whole year.
Really? Okay. Do they risk hurting Patrick Mahomes though while the O-line is trying to figure things out? Are they asking too much of him?
You know, I don't know. I've watched a couple of their games, both from a coaching pair of eyes on the defensive side and how I might call it with a new offensive line. And they've been, truthfully, very conservative.
Yeah.
They don't run a lot of those fly routes. They don't run a lot of speed routes. They've been pretty conservative and tried to be ball control. Again, I just don't think that's their mantra. I don't think that's Mahomes' gig, right? And so when they try to do that, to let that offensive line gel, I think it's detrimental to them. Now, will he get hurt? Man, you never know.
Do you think Sunday's important when they go to Philadelphia?
I was going to ask you, Gita. I mean, you're hosting the Kansas City Chiefs in Philadelphia.
Might be the right game for Philly. Just to pick up on something Coach said about the new O-line. To me, it looks like Mahomes isn't really trusting the new O-line yet. And this could be from what happened to him in the Super Bowl. I think he was the most pressured quarterback in Super Bowl history, something like 29% of 50 dropback, something like that. So he hasn't really gelled with that O-line. He's trying to always hit Tyreek Hill or Jason Kelce because it's like a little one-dimensional, and defenses have picked up on that. And they don't really pressure him much as they used to because then he can scramble out. So, this could be the game that Philly really needs, actually. Yeah. I
don't know where you're getting this confidence from. You just laid an egg on Monday Night Football in front of the Dallas Cowboys. They should change your team name into the Eagles for the egg that they laid.
If you would let me finish.
Hey, let go my ego.
Host boy. What I meant is Philly's probably going to lose the game. Yeah, that's fine. You know, Dallas ran all over them. But what I'm saying is it could be the game that Philly really needs.
I think he has some good points. I do think that Philly has the opportunity to kind of circle the wagons, as we say, right? The problem is I think they might be in big trouble. They're coming off a short week, and they're coming also off a wounded Kansas City team who've lost 2 out of the last 3. And I think we're in that 4th week where you'll start to see some positive things out of the O-line. And listen, if you don't, Philly could win. Philly could keep it close.
Could keep it close. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they'll have to. There's no. Philly's probably going to lose that. I'm okay with that, to be honest, because there are things that needs to be fixed. Jalen Hurts looked good first week, and then it kind of went downhill. Dallas game. The biggest thing we had going for the team was control of that scrimmage line on both sides, and we lost that completely in the Dallas game. They ran all over it. So hopefully they've looked at film and they'll figure things out I think this is a good game for Philly.
Well, whatever you've got to fix it before the week after, because you go up against my Panthers. So please be ready so you don't have any excuses when you go against
who
my
are
Panthers.
likely to be coming off a loss.
It's a rebuilding.
I heard
season.
that, Coach.
Philly's gonna rebuild, and we're gonna come back after the rebuild. On to Carolina.
Right.
Next question.
Okay, so let me circle back to Tampa Bay at New England. I'm really looking forward to this game because, conventional wisdom says Tampa Bay should be winning this. You've got Tom Brady, you've got Gronk going back to Foxborough Gillette Stadium, going up against the rookie quarterback who many out there are comparing him to Tom Brady, and I don't know why. He's done absolutely nothing to even deserve to be in the same sentence as Tom Brady. But imagine if after all of this, because since Brady won the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay, all the critics have been talking about how this whole time it was Tom Brady that was winning those Super Bowls and Bill Belichick was kind of riding on his coattails. It's a crazy thought, but there are people that are actually out there on ESPN, on Fox, on TV, experts that are actually saying that. So imagine just the one thing that I want to happen is if Bill Belichick turns up with a defensive plan that tells Tom Brady, son, I've got you figured out. I'm the one who raised you. And they managed to actually close things down, utilize Mac Jones to the extent needed to win the game. And then you get Bill Belichick in the press conference after the game looking at Darth Vader and just saying, I'm your father. Imagine if that scenario just plays out. I am dying for it to play out. Is it possible at all, Coach?
No.
No way. Look, I'm
daydreaming, huh?
I'm fine with how they use Mac as far as controlling the offense and controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling time management. They've got their best running backs out,
right.
So that's going to hurt them quite a bit. And I just don't believe in New England's defense. And if you've got anybody about to roll in that wants to prove a point, and I think I read Antonio Brown's off the COVID list. He's going to play. Gronk's going to practice tomorrow with his bruised ribs, so he's going to play. And then both of the other receivers they're saying 100% healthy, no nicks and scrapes. Look, I'm fearful, but I like the idea that if New England could win, that's a press conference I want to watch.
Right.
That would be interesting. I can't see any way that New England are going to get within 10 or 15. I just can't.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I just don't think their defense has some really big holes that still haven't been filled. For whatever reason, I can't figure out why, because that's really what they've, hung their hat on these last 5, 6, 8 years is to play solid defense, run the ball, control the ball, and expect Brady to win all the games, which he did. And they just don't have the defense that they've had. So, no, I don't see it. I would love for it to happen, just for a fan.
Yeah, just to see the little action that will spark in the stories.
Yeah, but I can see it. I can see it being big and bad.
Okay. Now let's go to the NFC West, and I think, in the FIFA World Cup, you always have the group of death. If there was a group of death in the NFL this year, it's the NFC West with the undefeated Rams, Arizona Cardinals also undefeated, 3-0. San Francisco don't look bad at all. They're actually playing really well. And even the Seattle Seahawks at 1-2 are always, you can never count the Seahawks out. Ujita, I think my question here is who's more impressive so far when it comes to the undefeated teams? Is it the LA Rams or is it the Arizona Cardinals?
Come on, man, without a doubt. All right. McQuay and Stafford, they're building something dangerous in LA. Yeah, with the weapons that Stafford has and how he's come up from being in Detroit, explosiveness of his plays, like he's done 2 touchdowns or 50 yards plus this season, whereas he did 4 in 4 seasons with Detroit. So he's being loved to be this explosive player, and McQuay is really helping him out, and the OC as well. So overall, I think the only part of their game now is the running game. They have an issue with their running game, but passing wise, I mean, he's got all the weapons. I know he's used Cooper Kupp a lot, but last week they changed that up a bit as well. So defenses will have to figure that. And on defense, you got Aaron Donald.
Right.
Yeah, if Arizona played LA today, who would win?
LA would win. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
LA would win.
You guys are saying LA. Let me be the one to stand up for Arizona a little bit here.
Hold on a second. Let me talk about Arizona for a second. Arizona is playing off of the Kyler Murray show right now.
Right.
Yeah. They're making him do lots of, crazy stuff, and he is doing it. And they've actually practiced the scramble drill in practice sessions, where the receivers have to move into the areas depending on how loose he's getting. And I fear they're putting too much on Murray at the moment to figure out, to scramble, do his own thing. And the defenses are going to be able to adjust and bring up schemes, too high safeties or whatever, rush on him. And he likes to rush, so maybe not rush on him much. But I think they're putting too much on Murray. Great player, could be MVP, we don't know. But I don't think they have enough weapons and defense to go up against LA. LA is a tough.
So I have like three stats that kind of stood out for me with Arizona. So they've attempted 3 fourth down conversions, and they've completed all 3, right? And time of possession, 32 minutes on average compared to the Rams' 27 minutes. And the rushing per carry is 3.9 yards to 3.3 yards with the LA Rams. So I think Arizona is the best team nobody is talking about seriously. I think we're talking a lot about, the Raiders. We're talking about, Tampa Bay. We're talking about KC. We're not talking about Arizona enough. So I would actually argue that Arizona going up against the Rams have a chance of actually, pulling the upset. Coach,
I give you one name, and then I'll change your mind. One name,
okay.
Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
If Kirk Cousins can put up those yardages, those touchdowns against Arizona, then imagine what LA is going to do. And his defense in LA is, I think it's 9 higher against the pass and the run compared to Minnesota's defense. So Kirk Cousins, boys and girls, Kirk Cousins.
I said a
if
minute
he can
ago,
do it. Imagine what
I don't
Mr.
have a
Stafford
comeback
and
for that.
Mr. McVay, come to me. Come see me.
I said a minute ago, if Arizona and LA played today, who would win? They're actually playing on Sunday.
Yeah. They're actually playing on Sunday. Yes.
We thought we meant literally. Like, let's say they play today.
So,
what happened?
You look at the match predictors and all this kind of stuff, and it's kind of 60-40 in favor of LA at the moment. I think that's pretty mean. Right. I can't see Arizona getting close to them. Sorry.
I don't know about close, but I don't think that they can compete yet. But I could be surprised. I mean, any given Sunday, as we say.
Yeah.
I can't. I have no comeback for your Kurt. I don't have a comeback for your Kirk Cousins argument, Coach. But I'm going to double down and stick to my guns and just see what happens.
Listen, Arizona is never in trouble as long as Murray is there. But, they were 9 down to the worst team in the league. So I think the LA Rams have got this.
They haven't played the Bears yet.
And the defenses he's played, the front 4 or the front 6 even, they don't have the talent that the one he's about to play has. And I remember I said this before, about 2 weeks ago. I said, hey, look, Tampa's looking good. Tom Brady's looking good, but he's about to go into LA and play a really good defense. And that guy's a bad man. And here we are.
You like bad men.
Hey, I'm all about it. Let's go defense.
All right. So there are 3 other teams in the NFL that are still undefeated. You've got the Las Vegas Raiders, you've got my Carolina Panthers, and you've got the Denver Broncos. So if we look at these 3 teams, who are the contenders? Who are the pretenders? Or is it too early to answer any of these questions at this point in time? Mark,
not too early.
Mark, give us a shot. Let's say the Raiders, pretenders or contenders.
I think the Raiders could make the postseason. Their schedule's not too bad. I think they could do it. I think the Panthers, by virtue of the division that they're in, could make it as well. I don't think the Broncos will, because to get out of that division is going to be really, really tough. So after 3 weeks, that's where I feel. Raiders could, but Gruden is a weird dude, and that could all be a tumbling pack of cards by week 6.
Right.
I say week 6 because week 5 they're playing the Bears and they're going to win that. So that's why I say by week 6.
Coach, you gave us an emphatic no. What are your thoughts?
Hey, listen. As far as the Raiders, I think they started 6-2 last year. Yeah. So they're normally hot starters.
They did beat the Ravens.
I think Denver's the biggest pretender. All 3 games they've won, those teams have won 0 games. So
what is it? 30th, 31st, and 32nd ranked teams in the NFL. I mean, you can't get luckier than that scheduling wise, right?
Right. I know their defense has played well, and I think I even read today where the defensive end came out as the player of the month on defense. But again, who are you playing? So I think we'll find out this week. They got Baltimore, I think.
They've got Baltimore first real test.
We'll really find out. I think they're pretenders. I think probably the Raiders are probably pretenders as well. Always a hot start, and in Gruden's career, he's been coaching hot starting players, and then they struggle down the stretch when injuries kick in and nicks and bruises kick in. And I think he loses the edge on play calling because, defenses get 7 to 8 weeks of tape on his offenses. However, I don't know that he's ever had the playmakers he has like he has with a pretty darn good quarterback. Who's coming into his own, a tight end / wide receiver who knows his business. If Jacobs gets healthy, hey, who knows?
Yeah, and for me, the Raiders, I think I'll give them all the credit in the world for beating the Ravens. That was a very hot start to the season. But the Steelers are shot. They beat the Steelers in week 2. Miami have no Tua Miami.
Yeah.
So I like that they're going up against the Chargers this week, because that's, again, just like the Denver Broncos are being tested by Baltimore. No bigger test than the Chargers right now. They're probably, other than Arizona's, the other greatest team that nobody's talking about right now. Let me talk a little bit about my Panthers, because we're 3-0, not used to being in that position. A few years ago, we were 6-2 starting the season, and then things went to hell after that. But I like how Sam Darnold adjusted after McCaffrey got injured. He looked a little bit, discombobulated at the beginning, but it took him a little bit time to kind of gather himself, and he did really well. I also like what the front office is doing, what the GM is doing. JC Horn, amazing cornerback, started really hot, got injured, broke his foot, and immediately we went into the trading block, traded Dan Arnold, our tight end, for CJ Henderson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, 9th pick of the draft. We're starting to involve our tight end, Tommy Tremble, who's a rookie from Notre Dame, who looked really good, had only 1 reception last week, but it was a 30-yard reception. And we've got, when McCaffrey's out, who do you want to have as a backup? Somebody called Chuba Hubbard. I mean, that's the best name in the NFL right now. So I don't even know what he's going to do, but just on that name, I want to watch a little bit more. We go up against the Cowboys. Yeah. Tough game. Like you said, Coach, you think that it's going to be the Panthers' first loss, but that defense is legit. That defense could be the difference. I don't have as much confidence in the offense, but this is a defense that's allowed less than 15 points, less than 50 yards rushing in the first 3 games. And this has been kind of unprecedented for the Panthers, even under Ron Rivera, when he was a great defensive coach, defensive-minded head coach at the time. So I like our chances. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I really think, I'm not going to call them pretenders. I've never called my Panthers pretenders, but this is their chance to really kind of stand out again and be mentioned along that contender list this game. We're not there yet, judging on the first 3 games. We looked really good, but again, it was the Jets and Houston. The Saints, okay, it was a good opposition, but I'm really looking forward to see what they do against the Cowboys. It's going to be a great thing.
If you're 4-0 this time next week, you're going to be a very, very happy man.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to be a surprise man, but you're going to be a happy man.
But the Carolina front seven, I mean, this is very impressive on the defense. They're all, 10, 15 draft picks, and they're young, and they're going to probably be together for a long time.
Shaq Thompson.
I haven't seen much of the way they shut down the run, especially in the first game. I know it was the Saints, but I mean, they never saw it coming. The Saints never saw it coming. So it's going to be a good year.
Interesting week coming.
Don't let 6-2. Don't let 6-2 get away this time.
Right. Not this time. Coach, your Houston Texans are up against the Bills. Is there even a point to talk about this, or is it just going to be the expected results? Right.
Move on.
I think we can wrap it up right here.
Before we kick off Carolina, the offense has done them quite a few favors on defense. Now I've watched a little film on them, and the defense is balling. And I told you the guys that in a message. And Ujita was correct. That front six and front seven, and even front eight when they bring in the fourth linebacker, have done some really good business. But I would be interested to see their minutes on the field. We talked about the Chicago defense being on 39 minutes last week. I would bet that they are under 30. I think that they've done a good job offensively, controlling the line of scrimmage, controlling the ball, controlling time. And I think that's really helped that defense. Now, I'm not saying they're not good and they haven't played well, but they've done them some favors. And I will also say, as you pointed out, who they come up against. Sure, the Saints, but let's match weapon for weapon, team for team that they've played. And I don't know that they'll win the ball control this week. However, if I wouldn't be disappointed at 3-1 losing to the Cowboys, or keeping it close or playing a tough game, because I do think they're for real. I don't think they're pretenders at all. Excellent.
Well, I think we can wrap it up here.
Wait, before that.
Yeah, all right.
There's more.
All right, fine.
Wait, because I thought it was going to be a weekly thing where Coach would come up with some trivia for us, and he didn't. So I'll give you one, and we can't ignore this because this week we had the longest kick in the history of the NFL.
Oh yeah, we cannot go without talking about Justin Tucker's
leg. Yeah, that's right. So whose record did he beat?
Jason Elam, Denver.
When was that? How long ago was that? 63
yards. I can't remember the year.
Wasn't it down in Mexico or somewhere?
I thought it was Prater. Matt Prater.
No, it was Matt Prater, 2013. Yeah. The guy who tried to do 63. A 68-yarder and then ran in for a pick, for a touchdown.
Right, against the Jackson.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like that.
Yeah. Great play.
I had stabbed this week. You're took over.
Hey, my statistics guy has he has homework.
All right. Well, Ujita, before we wrap up and before we meet your Eagles by next week, you've got two things to fix. Actually, three things: your offense, your defense, and your internet connection. So please make sure these are fixed by next week. So.
I can fix at least one of those things. I'm not going to say what.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. This has been an incredible episode. I think we've got amazing games coming up this week. So we'll see you guys next week. This has been Sports Unhinged.
All right.
Comment, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the Saturday night segment, the Pick 6 segment. That should be an interesting one.
Can't wait for that one. Yeah.
I didn't hear a thing. We'll see you guys later. Take care. Thank you.